For a young man, Kingsley Amis has had a great deal of success and fame, what with Lucky Jim and one thing and another. And now he's written his third novel, I Like It Here. Some of the critics had some pretty hard things to say about it, and we sent one of them, Simon Raven, down to Swansea to see Amis on his own home ground. He lives down in Swansea, of course, and like his own Lucky Jim, he makes a great thing of preferring provincial life to life in a metropolitan centre like London, and likes living in Swansea, as a great deal of a number of other people do as well. He teaches English literature at the university there.
Mr. Amis, I Like It Here is your third book, but all three of your books do seem to me to have very roughly the same hero, and that hero is this fabulous Lucky Jim. Now, Jim's a controversial figure. A lot of people see him with his goings-on as a villain rather than a hero. How do you react to this?
Well, firstly, I don't think that my three heroes of the three books are all Lucky Jims, quite. I think that the people in the second and third book are more worrying, introverted, almost more neurotic kind of characters than Jim, who's a gay, quite free sort of person. On the question of him being a hero, I think, of course, he hasn't got a lot of the characteristics of the conventional hero, but he is certainly intended to be. I think he is an admirable kind of person, and with a lot of attitudes and views on things, and even kinds of behavior in personal relationships and so on, that I would endorse a good deal. I think he's a conscientious kind of chap, and in his own odd way, a moral chap too.
So how far, in fact, are you Lucky Jim?
As far as me being Lucky Jim is concerned, well, I don't know really. I mean, he acts more bravely than I would dream of acting in some ways. I dress better than him, I think. Things like that. I'm not quite so keen on beer as he is. But in general...
What about London? Jim's described as being anti-London. Now, it has been said that Amis is now in the dibs.
Yeah.
Perhaps you'll see more of him in London, though it's a more sort of worldly Amis is now about to emerge. Not exactly a king of the nightclubs, but a well-known London figure.
No, I wouldn't like to do that. I mean, I've got a great affection for South Wales and Swansea as places, and the people who live in them too, and there's a lot of very nice countryside around the corner. I don't myself dig...
Well, fair enough.
Yes.
Of course, this business of being provincial rather brings us on to a political side of things. How far are you yourself a socialist and a welfare state boy?
Well, I used to be a socialist. I used to be much keener on being a socialist than I am now, really. Jim is a socialist, I suppose, after a fashion. But I think both he and I are, or would be by now, anti-conservative people rather than socialists.
Is there any one thing about British life at this present day which you really admire?
Yes, there is. I like the fact that in Great Britain, by and large, people don't beat each other up or shoot each other for holding certain opinions or belonging to certain churches or having certain colour skin. And I feel very much at home because of that fact.
Education. You are an educator.
Yes.
Though you've had some pretty harsh things to say about education in the past.
Well, yes, I suppose so. Well, I feel that Jim was my mouthpiece for saying things about education. Of course, he had some harsh things to say, but they were only about the arts side of a university, history, literature, that kind of thing. I think if he'd been given the chance to talk about the science side, he'd have been far more offensive. And I should welcome the chance someday of saying some harsh things about scientists and the way that scientists are regarded. I think there's a great deal of ignorant bumptiousness on the part of scientists these days, and an unthinking acceptance of the importance of the scientist in all ways.
Your first three books have been comedies in the Lucky Jim style. What have you got in mind now?
Well, I've got another one on the stocks. I still haven't quite got the start of it right, but I'm working on it pretty hard now. It's going to be a more serious, weightier kind of book, perhaps, than the previous ones have been, with more important characters in it, not just the one central character. If there is a central character in this next one, it's going to be a girl, not a Lucky Jemima, incidentally, a different kind of person. And one of the men in it is going to superficially resemble the Lucky Jim kind of person, but in the end he's going to be severely deflated and taken to task for various self-indulgences and so on.
Now tell me, in your last book, the hero goes abroad with every sort of protest and doesn't expect to like it. He thinks he'll be poisoned by the wine and get diarrhea and that everybody will steal all his money, but in fact he rather likes it in the end. And therefore a lot of people have assumed that you rather like it, and that we might see you one of these days sneaking off to set up in an elegant little villa on the Riviera.
I think that's unlikely. I like it here.